Hi, it's Sarah, and here is the next gamification video. I have my notes, which are to the side, so if you can see me looking off to the side here, that's what I'm doing because it's getting really complicated and I can't remember it. And remember, the book that we are talking about is Super Better by Jane McGonigal, and we're looking at how you can use gamification techniques in your work with young people or as a parent or whatever. I mean, what's it going to mean? What does it mean for the personal development world and young people? We are moving on to Gainful Rule 4. And this is all about quests. I love quests. I don't know about you, but I treat everything a little bit like a quest or an experiment or something fun to do. And I think that really, really does help. And this is what Jane McGonigal has learned in all of her research. Because games, what do games do? They give us quests, countless quests. I can't even say it, to make us smarter, stronger and braver. And that's what we should be taking on in life. And she says a quest is basically a powerful action you take because it has meaning in context of the bigger thing. So if we're looking at gaming, you know, you're doing those quests. Why can't I say it? Quests. There you go. To get you towards the end goal. And this is what I think is the real problem with most young people, actually, is they don't know their end goal. So they don't know how what they're doing every day fits into that. And if you don't know, then it's really, really difficult. What Jane believes, and talks about in this book, is the fact that, when we take on things like quests, they can increase our willpower and make us really, really much stronger, because the more that we take these on, the more willpower we get, the more able we are to take that purposeful action, and the more motivated we can become. So a quest, in terms of what we're talking about here, is a committed action that gets you towards your goals, is in line with your values, and it's something that you can do even when it's really difficult. And even when you think you haven't got the time or you haven't got the energy or you can't be bothered or whatever, you still do it because you can see how it's linked in to the end goal. And what she talks about a lot, which is something that I talk about a lot, particularly when I'm working with young people, so I'm turning the page over now, is that we should make these things fun. We should make them like an adventure. We should make them something that, we want to do, like an experiment. Because I think that young people nowadays think it's just about taking an action and then it all happens, but actually it isn't. So what are we trying to do with these like little quests that we take on every day? Well, we're trying to increase our hope, optimism and self-efficacy. Another difficult word. We spoke about that quite a lot. And actually, the more that we do a quest, the more we, get through something, get over it, and the more hopeful, optimistic we become, and the more we think we're in charge of our own destiny, which is what self-efficacy is. And hope, optimism and self-efficacy have been shown in quite a lot of studies, which goes into in this book. Let me just, there you go. What she's called the secret sauce to motivation and willpower, which I think is awesome, actually. The fact that there's a secret sauce. Because when we develop these, we get more competent and we're more confident and we have more belief, which is exactly what young people need, isn't it? Apparently in psychology, they call these pathway forwards. When you actually do something that moves you towards where you're going, it's called a forward pathway. There you go. Didn't know that, did you? And what she says in this book, which really links into a method I'm trained in, is actually the size of what you do or the size of the quest doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be big. It can be really tiny. It's the frequency that matters more than the size. So it's the frequency that matters more than the size of the quest. So we don't have to take on these huge things. We can take on small things and they're just as important. I remember working with this girl who wanted to go to a drama club, but she was absolutely terrified of it. That was terrified and petrified mixed together there. And I guess that we could have said, well, just walk into the room. I mean, what you're worried about? But she was really worried. So what we did was we took it one little step at a time. And her first quest was to just walk up to the door. And she did that and she felt great. The next one was to open the door. stand at the back, and she did that. Now, what happened, interestingly, is when she opened the door and stood at the back, someone came to speak to her and she realised they were nice and she joined the club. But can you see how we broke that down into teeny tiny pieces? So these quests that you take on should be small and easy. And if you look at games, the easy levels of games, the first levels of games are really, really easy. And that's why, because you take on these easy quests. Sorry, there was someone walking past the window then. And you get more and more confident. And therefore you then are ready for the things that are a bit bigger, that are going to require more effort and more skill, and probably you being more creative. So it's really important these quests that you take on are tiny, teeny, tiny, tiny. And it's important that they're in line with what you value and what you need. And that's a great conversation we can have with young people. Like, what do you need in life? What do you value? You know I'm not going to do anything unless it's innovative, unless it's a little bit challenging, and unless it's fun. I know I'm not going to take it on. So everything that I do, I have to take on making it innovative and fun. So I'm going to want to do it. And which is really interesting, because she mentioned something called fun framing. And that's just the coolest thing I've ever heard. The fact that making something fun is got a name. And this is where we make what we're doing a pleasure, excitement, make it a pleasurable, make it exciting and enjoyable. And we're less likely to feel that when we go and do it, and we're more likely to complete it if it's fun. And another thing to really mention here is about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. I've lost my voice today. Intrinsic motivation is when we're internally motivated to do something, and extrinsic motivation is when someone offers us a reward or something to do it. Now, there's loads and loads of research to show that extrinsic motivation doesn't work, or it only works in repetitive tasks that you have to do again and again. And actually, if children are given things to colour, for example, the ones that aren't given a reward tend to spend longer and are more creative. So extrinsic motivation, offering rewards to young people to do things, is not great. In fact, it's not great for anyone, but less great for young people. We need to teach them to have this intrinsic motivation to do something. And the reason we do that, the way we do that, is making sure it links into what they want later on, and making sure it's in line with what they value and what they need, and making sure it's small enough that they can do it. I see so many schools and other people offering, action steps that are so big, there's no way a young person's ever going to be able to do it. And so they just give up because it just seems impossible. So it's tiny, tiny things that are in line with their goal, they're in line with their values, and they're in line with their need. And we should just make it fun as much as we can. There was some great research where they got some students together and asked some of them to take a maths test and some of them to play a maths test. The one that were told they were going to take it procrastinated about that test forever. And the ones that were told they were going to play a maths test were more enthusiastic and motivated. So the objective here is that we know what we want in life, because we set a super better goal. And what we're trying to do is take small steps to get there, but to make them a little bit more fun, we're going to call them quests, and we're going to make sure they're in line with our end goal. We're going to make sure they're in line with what we want. We're going to make sure they're in line with our values, and we're going to make sure that they're fun. So what we do here is we help young people set quests. I don't know, that just sounds awesome, doesn't it, to be a quest setter? You can do it if you're working with them. They can ask their family and friends. They can ask their, parents. They can, ask anyone they want. What quest would you set me if this was the end result? And they get to choose what they're going to take on. And it's making sure that they are small and easy and they can do them. So yeah, absolutely love this idea of quests. Just totally awesome. I'm totally sold on it. This is how I live my life. It works. If you want a young person to be motivated, then this is the way that you do it. If it's schoolwork, you've got to find the bigger picture. You've got to find the reason they want to do well, and that can take some digging, I'm not going to lie. But when you've got it, and you've got it, made it a bit fun, and it's in line with who they are, they will take the action. Young people are not lazy. So I see you next time for Gainful Rule 5. I'm sure there'll be an end to this at some point. I can't remember how many gainful rules they are, but we must be getting there. All right, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think. Thanks. Bye.